Mr. Zahn? This is Rashida Jones from Pacific National Bank. I balanced my phone between my shoulder and ear, still typing code. Yeah? I'm calling to verify information on a mortgage application for Brandon Zahn. You're listed as his reference. My fingers stopped moving across the keyboard. Brandon was my younger brother, but we weren't exactly close these days. Okay. The applicant claims you provided a $100,000 gift for his down payment. Can you verify this? My coffee suddenly tasted like metal. I set the mug down carefully, watching the steam curl up from the surface. I'm sorry, what? $100,000. Gift funds for down payment. There's a signed gift letter here with your name on it. The words hit me like ice water. I never gave Brandon $100,000. Typing sounds through the phone. Professional? Efficient? You're saying you did not provide this gift? I never signed any letter. I never gave him money. My voice came out steadier than I felt. Sir, that's a serious allegation. Are you claiming this is fraudulent documentation? I stood up from my desk, pacing to the window. Mrs. Chen across the street was tending her roses, normal Tuesday afternoon stuff. Nothing felt normal anymore. I don't have $100,000 to give anyone. Brandon got that money from our parents, not me. Sharp intake of breath from Rashida. The application specifically states the gift came from you, not his parents. Why would he? I stopped. Of course. Because parent gifts require different documentation, right? Exactly. Sibling gifts appear more favorable for debt-to-income ratios. The pattern clicked into place like puzzle pieces I'd been ignoring for years. Age 25. I'd asked our parents for $8,000 to help with a car down payment. Dad sat me down at their kitchen table and explained why they couldn't help. You're capable, Gregory. This will teach you responsibility. I took the bus for 8 more months, saving every dollar, finally bought a used Honda Civic. Age 22. Brandon graduated college and received a $32,000 BMW as a graduation present. My own graduation 3 years earlier had been celebrated with dinner at Applebee's. Mr. Zahn, are you there? I'm here. Age 28. I'd saved $76,000 over 4 years, qualified for my mortgage entirely on my own credit score and income. When I called to share the good news, Mom said, "That's wonderful, honey. You've always been so independent." 6 months later, Brandon announced his engagement. Our parents handed him a check for $100,000 at the engagement party. I found out through Instagram. I need to ask directly. Did you sign any documentation regarding this gift? No. Did you authorize anyone to sign on your behalf? Absolutely not. Age 32. My housewarming barbecue. I'd invited 12 people, bought enough food for 20. Only my girlfriend Alice showed up. Brandon had texted that morning. Sorry, bro, busy with wedding planning. Our parents never responded to the invitation. That same afternoon, Brandon posted Instagram stories from a country club, tasting wedding cakes with our parents. Mr. Zahn, I need you to understand the gravity of this situation. If this documentation is fraudulent, we're talking about mortgage fraud, which is a federal crime. I sank into my desk chair, staring at the mortgage payment schedule taped to my bulletin board. $380,000 house, purchased entirely through my own savings and creditworthiness. What happens now? We'll need a formal statement from you. Can you come in tomorrow? Yes. Bring identification and any documentation showing your financial position. We'll need to verify you couldn't have made this gift. After hanging up, I immediately dialed Brandon's number. Hey bro, what's up? His voice carried that casual tone that had always irritated me, like nothing in the world could touch him. Why did you tell Pacific National Bank that I gave you $100,000? Silence. Then, what? They just called me. You forged a gift letter with my name on it. Oh, that. Like he was remembering where he'd left his keys. The loan officer said it would look better if the gift came from you instead of Mom and Dad. So you committed mortgage fraud? Dude, relax. Just confirm it when they call. The casual dismissal hit me like a slap. I'm not confirming a lie, Brandon. Steve, don't be like this. We're family. Family doesn't forge signatures on federal documents. It's just paperwork, Come on, please. No. Steve, I need this house. Madison's parents already made an offer on their place. They're expecting us to close. I hung up. The phone rang again within 30 seconds. Mom's number. Brandon said you're refusing to help with his mortgage? No hello, no pleasantries. He forged a gift letter with my name on it, Mom. Dad's voice joined the call. Speakerphone. Steve, it's just paperwork, a formality. It's mortgage fraud. Just tell the bank yes, Mom said. What's the big deal? The big deal is I didn't give him $100,000. You did. The bank doesn't need to know the specifics, Dad replied. Actually, they do. It's federal law. You'll ruin his chance at this house over technicalities? Mom's voice was rising. I'll tell the truth. He lied. Family helps family. Dad's shout made me hold the phone away from my ear. Family doesn't commit federal crimes. I hung up and turned off my phone. That evening, Alice found me sitting in my backyard, staring at the grill where I'd cooked burgers for one guest 6 months ago. The same grill where I'd stood alone, watching the cooler full of beer that never got opened. The potato salad she'd made that we ate for a week afterward. Rough day? She asked, settling into the chair beside me. I told her everything. The bank call, the forged documents, the phone calls from my family. So Brandon lied about you giving him money, and your parents want you to lie too? Pretty much. Alice was quiet for a long moment. How much did your parents give him for the wedding? $40,000, plus the $100,000 for the house. And what did they give you when you bought this place? I gestured at the empty patio chairs around us. They were too busy to come to my housewarming. The next morning, I walked into Pacific National Bank at exactly 9 a.m. Rashida Jones was a sharp-eyed woman in her 40s who led me to a conference room where a man in a gray suit was waiting. This is Walter White, our underwriter, she said. Walter opened a thick folder. Mr. Zahn, I need to ask you some direct questions about your relationship with the applicant. Shoot. Have you ever co-signed any loans for Brandon Zahn? No. Guaranteed any of his debts? No. Provided employment verification for him? He doesn't work for me. Walter and Rashida exchanged a look. Walter slid a document across the table. According to this application, you're his supervisor at Zahn Solutions Consulting. I stared at the paper. That's not a real company. Walter showed me another page. He lists his salary as $185,000 annually. You as the owner. 3 professional references, all claiming to work under you. My stomach dropped. Brandon made $62,000 a year as a sales associate at a furniture store. This is all fake? The references, too? I looked at the names. I'd never heard of any of them. I don't know these people. Rashida was taking notes. So to be clear, you didn't give him money, you don't employ him, and you've never heard of these references? Correct. Walter closed the folder. We'll be filing a fraud report with federal authorities. This is mandatory when we discover falsified loan applications. That evening, my phone exploded with missed calls from Brandon. 23 calls, 12 voicemails, and a string of increasingly desperate texts. Call me now. Steve, please. You're ruining my life. Just call the bank. I ignored all of it. At 8 p.m., Brandon's truck screeched into my driveway. Alice was in the kitchen making dinner. Mrs. Chen was outside watering her roses, probably wondering about all the noise. Brandon stormed up to my front door and started pounding. Steve, open up. I opened the door but didn't invite him in. What do you want? You ruined everything. His face was red, spit flying. I told the truth. The bank denied me. They're investigating me. Because you lied on a federal document. I needed that house. Madison's parents already put their place on the market. Alice appeared in the doorway behind me. So your solution was to commit fraud? Stay out of this. Brandon pointed at her like she was something he could dismiss. Mrs. Chen called over from her garden. Everything okay over there, Steve? This is your fault. Brandon was screaming now, drawing stares from neighbors. Get off my property. I disown you. He peeled out of my driveway, leaving tire marks on the asphalt. Mrs. Chen stood with her watering can, watching the whole scene. 2 other neighbors had come out of their houses. I waved at them apologetically and went back inside. The coffee had gone cold in my hands by the time I hung up with Rashida. My kitchen felt smaller somehow, like the walls had shifted inward while I processed what Brandon had done. He'd forged my name on a legal document, used my identity to commit mortgage fraud, and somehow thought I'd just go along with it when caught. I stared at my phone, thumb hovering over Brandon's contact. Part of me wanted to give him a chance to explain, to hear some reasonable justification for why he dragged me into his financial deception, but the rational part of my brain knew there wasn't one. You don't accidentally forge someone's signature on a $100,000 gift letter. The call connected on the second ring. "Hey bro, what's up?" Brandon's voice carried that casual tone he used when he wanted something but was pretending everything was normal. "Why did you tell the bank I gave you $100,000? Silence. I could hear Madison in the background asking who was calling. "What?" "Pacific National called me, Brandon. You forged a gift letter with my name on it." Another pause, longer this time. When he spoke again, his voice had dropped to barely above a whisper. "Oh, that. Look, the loan officer said it would look better if you committed federal fraud? Dude, relax. It's not that serious. Just confirm it and we're good." The casual way he said it made my jaw clench. Like asking me to lie to a bank about $100,000 was equivalent to covering for him being late to dinner. "I'm not confirming a lie, Brandon." "Steve, don't be like this. We're family." "Family doesn't forge my signature without asking." "It's just paperwork. Please." Madison's parents are already talking to contractors about renovations. Her dad found this amazing place in Westfield, and if we don't get this loan, then you can't afford the house. We can afford it, with the gift money. From Mom and Dad, not from me. The bank doesn't care where it came from. Actually, they do. That's why you lied about it. I heard Madison's voice getting closer, asking what was wrong. Brandon covered the phone, but I caught fragments. "Bank called Steve. Gift letter problem." "Look," Brandon said, back on the line. "Just tell them you gave me the money. It's not hurting anyone." "It's fraud, Brandon. It's helping family." "No." The line went quiet except for his breathing. When he spoke again, his voice had changed completely, higher, desperate. "Steve, please, I'm begging you. If this falls through, Madison's parents will think I'm some kind of loser who can't provide for their daughter." "Can you provide for her?" "Of course I can." "Without Mom and Dad's $100,000? Silence. That's what I thought. I hung up. My phone started ringing again immediately. Brandon's name flashed on the screen. I declined the call. It rang again. Declined again. By the fourth call, I turned the ringer off. 20 minutes later, my parents were calling. "Brandon said you're refusing to help with his mortgage?" Mom's voice carried that particular tone she used when she'd already decided I was being unreasonable. "He forged a gift letter with my name on it, Mom." "It's just paperwork, honey. A formality." Dad's voice joined the call. They had me on speaker. "Steve, just tell the bank what they want to hear. That I gave Brandon $100,000 because I didn't." "The bank doesn't need to know the details," Mom said. "They just need confirmation. The details are that you and Dad gave him the money, not me. If that's the case, then that's what the paperwork should say." "But Brandon's loan officer said," Dad started. "Brandon's loan officer told him to commit fraud, and now he's asking me to be an accessory." "Don't be dramatic," Mom said. "It's not fraud. It's just creative financing." "It's lying on a federal document, Mom. That's literally the definition of fraud." I heard them whispering to each other, hands probably covering the phone. When Dad came back on the line, his voice had that edge it got when he was trying to control his temper. "Steve, your brother needs this house. Madison's parents have already made an offer on their current place, expecting Brandon and Madison to buy it. If this falls through, then Brandon shouldn't have lied on his mortgage application." "He didn't lie," Mom protested. "He just simplified things. By using my name without permission. You're going to let your brother lose his house over technicalities?" The word technicalities hit me like a slap. I thought about my own mortgage application 2 years ago. The hours I'd spent gathering documents, the anxiety while waiting for approval, the pride I'd felt when I qualified on my own income and credit. No gifts, no co-signers, No lies. It's not technicalities, Mom. He committed fraud. Family helps family. Dad's voice exploded through the speaker, loud enough that I had to hold the phone away from my ear. Family doesn't ask family to commit crimes. It's not a crime if you just confirm. I hung up. The next morning, I drove to Pacific National Bank. Rashida Jones met me in a small conference room with glass walls that looked out onto the main banking floor. She was younger than I'd expected from her voice, maybe mid-30s, with sharp eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. Thank you for coming in, Mr. Zahn. This is Walter Morrison, our underwriter. Walter was older, probably in his 50s, with the look of someone who'd seen every type of mortgage fraud imaginable. He had a thick file folder in front of him and didn't smile when we shook hands. We need a formal statement, Rashida said, sliding a legal pad across the table. Just walk us through your relationship with the applicant and any financial arrangements between you. Brandon is my younger brother. I haven't given him any money. No loans? Walter asked. No. Co-signed any loans for him? No. Guaranteed any of his debts? No. Provided employment verification for him? I paused. What do you mean? Walter flipped open the folder and pulled out a copy of Brandon's mortgage application. He turned it toward me, pointing to a section I hadn't seen before. He lists you as his supervisor at Zahn Solutions Consulting. My stomach dropped. That's not a real company. You're not his employer? I work for Microsoft. Brandon works for a marketing firm downtown. I've never employed him. Walter and Rashida exchanged a look that made my chest tighten. According to this, Walter said, turning pages, you're the owner of Zahn Solutions Consulting, a software development company. He's listed as senior developer with a salary of $185,000 annually. He makes about $62,000, and I don't own a company, Walter kept reading. 3 employment references, all listing you as the primary contact. He showed me the names. I'd never heard of any of them. These are fake, I said. All of this is fake. Rashida was taking notes. So to confirm, no gift money, no employment relationship, no business partnership? Nothing. I bought my own house 2 years ago, qualified on my own income. No help from family, no gifts, no co-signers. And your brother? Got $100,000 from our parents for his down payment, but apparently told you it came from me. Walter closed the folder. Mr. Zahn, this is mortgage fraud. Multiple counts. We're required to file a report with federal authorities. The weight of it hit me. Brandon hadn't just lied about the gift money. He'd created an entire fictional employment history, with me as his fake boss at a fake company, paying him a fake salary nearly 3 times what he actually made. What happens now? I asked. We deny the loan, Rashida said, and we report the fraud. The FBI handles mortgage fraud cases. The FBI? It's federal crime, Walter said. Lying on mortgage applications, creating false employment records, forging signatures on gift letters. Each count carries up to 30 years. I drove home in a daze. 30 years. Brandon could go to prison for 30 years because he wanted to buy a house he couldn't afford and thought I'd cover for him. My phone had been buzzing constantly during the bank meeting. 23 missed calls from Brandon, 14 from my parents, 7 from a number I didn't recognize. The unknown number had left a voicemail. Steve, this is Madison. Please call me back. Brandon is... He's not handling this well. He keeps saying you'll fix it, but I need to know what's really happening. My parents are asking questions and I don't know what to tell them. I didn't call her back. That evening, Alice came over with Chinese takeout. I told her everything while we ate lo mein at my kitchen counter. So he created a fake company and made you the owner? She asked. Apparently. Listed himself as an employee making 3 times his actual salary. And used your name on a gift letter for money you never gave him? Yep. Alice set down her chopsticks. Steve, this isn't just fraud. This is identity theft. He's been using your identity to qualify for loans. I know. Are you going to press charges? I hadn't thought about it. The bank was already reporting the mortgage fraud, but I could file separate charges for identity theft. Use of my name without permission, false representation of business relationships, potential damage to my credit if any of this got reported incorrectly. I don't know, I said. He's my brother. He's your brother who committed multiple felonies using your name. Before I could respond, my doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw Brandon standing on my porch. His hair was disheveled, his shirt wrinkled like he'd slept in it. Behind him, I could see Madison sitting in their car talking on her phone. I opened the door but didn't invite him in. "Steve, thank God. We need to talk." "About your mortgage fraud?" "It's not fraud. It's just, look, the loan officer suggested that you create a fake company and list me as your boss." His face went pale. "You talked to them. They called me for employment verification for a company that doesn't exist, where you supposedly make $185,000 a year. I can explain. You committed identity theft, Brandon. Used my name, my credit, my reputation to qualify for a loan you can't afford. I can afford it with the gift money. From mom and dad, not from me." "Steve, please." His voice cracked. "Madison's parents already put their house on the market. If this falls through, they'll lose their buyers and Madison will never forgive me." "Then you shouldn't have lied. Just call the bank. Tell them you gave me the money. Tell them you employ me. It's just words. It's perjury. It's family." Mrs. Chen from next door had come out to check her mailbox and was pretending not to listen to us argue. "Get off my property, Brandon." "Steve, I'm begging you. I'll pay you back. I'll do anything. Just don't let them ruin my life over paperwork." "You ruined your own life when you forged my signature." I closed the door. Through the window, I watched him stand there for another minute before walking back to the car. Madison was crying. They sat in my driveway for 10 more minutes, arguing, before finally driving away. The next morning brought a new complication. My parents showed up at my house at 7 a.m. before I'd even finished my first cup of coffee. The coffee had gone cold in my cup, but I couldn't taste anything anyway. Rashida's voice cut through the silence like a blade. "Mr. Zahn, I need you to understand the severity of this situation. Your brother didn't just forge your name on a gift letter. He created an entire fictional employment history." She slid a folder across her desk. Inside was Brandon's mortgage application, and seeing it in black and white made my stomach drop. According to these documents, I was the owner and CEO of Zahn Solutions Consulting, a software development firm that supposedly employed Brandon as senior project manager at a salary of $185,000 annually. "This doesn't exist," I said, pointing at the company name. "I work for TechFlow Solutions. I'm a senior developer, not an owner of anything." Walter, the underwriter, leaned forward. His expression was grim. "He also listed you as his direct supervisor and provided 3 professional references who supposedly work under you at this fictional company." "Who are the references?" Walter flipped through the papers. "James Mitchell, Sarah Chen, and David Rodriguez. Ring any bells?" I shook my head. "Never heard of them." "We called the numbers provided. All 3 phones are disconnected. The addresses don't exist either." Rashida tapped her pen against the desk. "Mr. Zahn, in my 15 years of mortgage lending, I've seen applicants stretch the truth, inflate their income by a few thousand, maybe claim a bonus they're expecting. But this is elaborate fraud. Your brother created an entire fictional reality." The weight of it hit me. This wasn't just Brandon being irresponsible with money. This wasn't him asking our parents for help he didn't deserve. This was systematic deception that could land him in federal prison. "What happens now?" I asked. "We're required by law to report suspected mortgage fraud to the FBI, Walter said. "We've already filed the initial report. They'll likely want to interview you as well." My phone buzzed. A text from Brandon. "Please call me. We need to talk." I showed the message to Rashida. "He's been calling and texting since yesterday." "Don't discuss this case with him," she warned. "Anything he says to you could be used in the investigation." "And Mr. Zahn? Thank you for being honest. If you had confirmed his story, you would have become an accessory to federal mortgage fraud." Walking to my car, I felt like I was moving through fog. The parking lot seemed surreal, too bright, too normal for what had just happened. Other people were going about their day, loading groceries, talking on phones, completely unaware that my brother had just blown up his life with lies. My phone rang. "Mom." "Stephen, what have you done?" I told the truth. "Brandon called us crying. The bank denied his mortgage. They're investigating him for fraud." Because he committed fraud. He made a mistake. You could have just confirmed the gift letter. I got in my car but didn't start it. Mom, he didn't just forge my name. He created a fake company. He claimed I was his boss. He made up fake employees with fake phone numbers. Silence. Mom? That can't be right. I saw the application. He listed his salary as $185,000. He makes $62,000 at the insurance company. Maybe there was a mistake. He also told them I gave him the $100,000 down payment instead of you and Dad. Do you know why? Another pause. Why? Because gifts from parents require different documentation. The bank needs to verify that you can afford to give away $100,000 without it affecting your own finances. Gifts from siblings don't have the same requirements. So Brandon used me to hide the fact that you gave him money you probably couldn't afford to give. We can afford it. Can you? Because if the FBI investigates this, they're going to look at your bank accounts too. They're going to see that you withdrew $100,000 and gave it to Brandon. They're going to want to know if you reported it as a gift on your taxes. The line went quiet. I could hear Dad in the background asking what was wrong. Steven, you need to fix this. I can't fix fraud, Mom. Only Brandon can fix this by telling the truth. He'll go to prison. He might. That's what happens when you commit federal crimes. I hung up and sat in the parking lot for a long time. Other people walked past my car, living their normal lives, while mine felt like it was fracturing along invisible fault lines. That evening, Alice found me sitting on our back deck, staring at the fence I'd built myself last summer. Every board measured, cut, and nailed by hand because I couldn't afford to hire someone. Bad day? She asked, settling into the chair beside me. Brandon committed mortgage fraud. He's under federal investigation. Alice was quiet for a moment. How bad is it? FBI bad, prison bad. And your parents want you to lie for him. They want me to confirm that I gave him $100,000, money I don't have, for a gift letter I never signed. Alice reached over and took my hand. What are you going to do? Nothing. I already told the bank the truth. It's out of my hands now. Your parents are going to blame you. They already do. We sat in comfortable silence, watching the sun set behind the fence I'd built with my own hands, in the yard of the house I'd bought with money I'd saved for 4 years. Everything around me was real, earned, honest. The contrast with Brandon's house of lies felt stark. My phone buzzed with another text from Brandon. The bank called Madison's parents. Her dad is furious. Please call me. I deleted the message without responding. He's not going to give up, Alice said. Probably not. Are you okay with that? I thought about it. 6 months ago, I'd grilled burgers alone in this backyard while Brandon was at a country club with our parents, tasting wedding cakes and choosing flowers. I'd saved for 4 years to buy this house, qualified for the mortgage on my own income, celebrated my achievement with a girlfriend and an empty cooler full of beer. Brandon had gotten $100,000 from our parents, lied about his income, forged my name, created fake companies and fake employees, and tried to buy a house he couldn't afford with money he hadn't earned. Yeah, I said. I'm okay with that. 3 weeks after the Sunday dinner explosion, I was installing new cabinet handles in my kitchen when my phone buzzed. Text from Jimmy. Saw your brother at Safeway. Looks rough, man. I set down my screwdriver and stared at the message. Part of me wanted to ask for details, but a larger part didn't care anymore. Brandon had made his choices. The consequences were his to live with. The bank investigation had moved fast. Rashida called me the Monday after dinner to update me on their findings. Mr. Zahn, we've completed our review. Your brother's application contained multiple fraudulent elements beyond the gift letter. Multiple? Fake employment verification, inflated salary claims, and he listed Madison's father as a reference for the non-existent company. Mr. Patterson is not pleased. I could imagine. Madison's father was a corporate lawyer with zero tolerance for fraud. Having his name attached to Brandon's scheme probably felt like a personal insult. What happens now? We've filed the mandatory fraud report with federal authorities. Your brother will likely face charges. After hanging up, I'd felt something I hadn't expected. Relief. Not satisfaction, just relief. The truth was finally out there, documented and official. No one could ask me to lie anymore. The next month brought a cascade of updates, mostly through Alice, who somehow kept hearing things through her network of friends. Madison had filed for annulment within 2 weeks of the dinner. 6 weeks of marriage, Alice told me one evening as we sat on my back deck. She told her friend Sarah that she couldn't trust him anymore. Said if he'd lie about something this big, what else was he lying about? I took a sip of my beer and watched the sunset paint my fence golden. The same fence where I'd grilled alone 6 months ago, waiting for family that never showed up. Smart woman. Her parents are furious. Apparently, Brandon called Mr. Patterson directly, trying to explain why he'd used his name as a reference. That went about as well as you'd expect. The investigation wrapped up in month 2. Brandon pled guilty to a misdemeanor fraud charge. His lawyer managed to keep it from becoming a felony, probably because the amount was under certain thresholds and it was his first offense. Still, he got 18 months probation, community service, and a $15,000 fine. Mom called me the day after his sentencing. "Steve, honey, Brandon needs help with the fine. Could you maybe—" "No? It's $15,000. He doesn't have that kind of money." "Then he shouldn't have committed fraud. Please, just think about it. He's learned his lesson." I was sitting in my home office looking at my mortgage statement. $304,000 left on my loan. Every payment made by me, earned by me, no lies required. Has he gotten a job? He's looking. It's hard with the conviction on his record. That's what happens when you commit fraud, Mom. She was quiet for a moment. Your father and I are going to help him with the fine. Of course you are. What's that supposed to mean? It means you're still solving his problems for him, still making sure he never faces real consequences. He lost his job, Steve. His marriage is over. His record is permanently damaged. How are those not consequences? I leaned back in my chair. She wasn't wrong about the consequences, but she was missing the point. The consequences aren't the lesson, Mom. The lesson is learning to earn things honestly. And you keep preventing him from learning that. Month 4 brought news that Brandon had found work at Best Buy. Alice heard it from Sarah, who'd heard it from Madison. The corporate job was gone. His employer had fired him once the fraud conviction became public. Ethics violation, Alice explained. Financial services companies don't mess around with that stuff. I was oddly proud of Best Buy for giving him a chance. It was honest work, even if it paid a fraction of what he'd been making before. Maybe this was what rock bottom looked like for Brandon. Retail work, a studio apartment, no BMW, no wealthy wife, no parents' money smoothing every rough edge. But even rock bottom came with parental assistance. Dad called in month 6, ostensibly to check on me, but really to talk about Brandon. He's doing better, working full-time, paying his own rent. Good for him. We help a little with groceries, but mostly he's independent now. I almost laughed. A little help with groceries was probably still more support than I'd ever received. How much is a little, Dad? That's not the point. It's exactly the point. You gave him $100,000 for a house he couldn't afford, then helped him try to defraud a bank, and now you're still subsidizing his life. When does the help stop? When he doesn't need it anymore. He'll always need it as long as you keep providing it. Dad was quiet for a long moment. Maybe we made some mistakes. It was the closest thing to an acknowledgement I'd ever heard from him. Maybe. We wanted to help him succeed. You wanted to buy him success. There's a difference. And what about you? Don't you want to help your brother? I looked around my kitchen, the one I'd renovated myself in the house I'd bought myself, with money I'd saved myself. I helped by telling the truth. Everything else was his choice. The 1-year anniversary of my housewarming passed quietly. Alice and I had a small dinner party this time. Just her, Jimmy, and 2 couples from my work. 6 people total, but they all showed up. They all brought something. They all stayed until late, laughing on my deck under string lights I'd installed myself. No family attended. No one asked why. That same weekend, Mom called with an invitation to Brandon's birthday dinner. He specifically asked for you to come, Steve. He wants to apologize. I'm not interested. He's changed, really changed. The job, the apartment, everything. He's learning to be responsible. Good. He can learn without me there. Please, honey, family is family. I thought about that phrase. Family is family. I'd heard it my whole life, usually when someone wanted me to excuse bad behavior or accept unequal treatment. Family doesn't forge your signature on legal documents, Mom. He made a mistake. He made a choice, multiple choices, to lie to the bank, to use my name, to drag Madison's family into it, to ask me to become his accomplice. Those weren't mistakes. They were deliberate decisions. People change. Some do, but change requires acknowledging what you did wrong, not just facing consequences. Has he ever admitted that using my name was wrong? Not just illegal. Wrong? She was quiet. Has he ever acknowledged that asking me to lie for him was asking me to become a criminal? Has he apologized for that specifically? Still quiet. Or does he just want me to forgive him so he can feel better about himself? Steve, I bought my house alone, Mom. Saved for 4 years, qualified on my own credit, made every payment myself. When I had my housewarming, he was too busy. When he needed help committing fraud, suddenly I was important enough to involve. That tells me everything I need to know about what I mean to him. Alice found me on the deck afterward, staring at my fence in the gathering dusk. Your mom again? Brandon's birthday. Command performance requested. She settled into the chair beside me. You going? No. Think he's really changed? I considered it seriously. Maybe. Losing your job, your marriage, your house, that's got to have an impact. But change and accountability aren't the same thing. What do you mean? He got caught. He faced consequences. That might make him more careful next time, but it doesn't necessarily mean he understands why what he did was wrong. And it definitely doesn't undo the pattern of our whole relationship. The pattern. That was really what this was about. Not just the fraud, but 32 years of watching my parents give him everything while teaching me independence. 32 years of being the responsible one, the one who figured things out alone, the one who earned what he got. And then, when he needed help maintaining a lie, suddenly I was supposed to be family. The bank asked one question, I said finally. One simple verification question. And his entire life collapsed because it was built on lies. The house, the salary, the company, all fake. Even the marriage was based on deception because Madison thought she was marrying someone who could afford that lifestyle. Alice nodded. House of cards. Exactly. And instead of learning to build something real, something earned, he wanted me to help him keep the lie going. That's not family asking for help. That's a criminal asking for an accomplice. The string lights flickered on automatically as darkness fell. I'd installed them on a timer, just like I'd installed everything else in this house. Every improvement planned, saved for, and implemented by me. No lies required. I don't hate him, I continued. I don't even think about him most days. But I don't trust him, and I don't want him in my life. Those are two different things. My phone buzzed. Text from Mom. Brandon says he understands if you can't make it to dinner. He just wants you to know he's sorry. I showed Alice the message. She read it and shook her head. Still going through your mom instead of calling you directly. Still can't face the hard conversations. I deleted the message without responding. Some bridges burn, and that's okay. Some relationships end not with dramatic confrontations, but with quiet recognition that they were never really relationships at all, just proximity and shared DNA. Brandon got $100,000 and I got too busy for your barbecue. Then he tried to make me his accomplice in fraud. The bank asked one simple question and everything he'd built on lies crumbled around him. Parents can give you money, but they can't give you character. And character is what you need when the bank starts asking questions.